Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our weekly show. We call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping, where we review one of the top racing cars from around the United States. We will select a four-race sequence from that track and attempt to come to a consensus on a pick four ticket. Thank you for joining us. Week number 19 of the racing season finds us making our first trip to New York. It's not the Belmont Stakes yet, but we are heading to Big Sandy. It's Belmont Park in Elmont, New York. The big one is in race number 4, but the pick four starts in race number 8 and it ends in race number 11. There are a pair of graded stakes in the pick four on Saturday. My name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and racing analysts. Our East Coast handicapper, he's from Staten Island, New York, but this week he sneaked out. He's coming to us by way of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Ray Torado. Ray, is there any truth to the rumor that your wife has an app on her cell phone that will alert if you even move in the direction of Gulfstream Park?
Yes, it is. The thing will buzz.
I think it's like a French siren. It goes, wee-oh, wee-oh.
All right, which way you going?
And
I am 5 minutes from Gulfstream Park. I didn't get a chance to go, but it's okay. I've been there before, so I love guys to go to Texas, but.
All right, and we also have a West Coast handicapper, and he's coming at us from his home is in Temecula, California. And Joe English, is there any truth to the rumor that your wife holds the patent on that app that Ray's wife is using?
No, I think she holds the app on the anklet that Ray's really wearing. It's more like he's home confinement. It's not she has nothing to do with that. She actually lets me go to the track, which is why we've survived together for 19 years.
Mm-hmm. Me too. She lets me go, and we're happy. I just come home and do extra laundry at nighttime. So.
All right, gentlemen, it's not my fault, but we don't get to handicap the Peter Pan Stakes today since it's not part of that late pick four at Belmont. They moved the pick four or the Peter Pan Stakes. It got moved all the way up to race number 4 on that card today, and that. So we're going to go ahead and miss it. But it is one of my favorite races. I kind of think of it as the prelude leading up to the Belmont Stakes. Nice race for 3-year-olds there in New York. So I was wondering if you might share with us your handicapping prognosis here for the Peter Pan Stakes. And Ray, since you're our New York handicapper, I was going to let you go first and go ahead and give me your pick for the Peter Pan today.
Here I come. Got my form on the phone. Hold on. Joe, do me a favor. Could you go first?
Sure, I'll go first. To be honest, since it wasn't part of the sequence, until Rich sent that email or text earlier, I hadn't even handicapped it, and I still haven't. But my understanding is that there's a really short-priced Todd Pletcher, John Velasquez runner in this race. Is that true? If that's true, that's the horse I'll take. I think the horse's name is Timeline. Otherwise, just
Yes.
No. Actually, Timeline is a very short price. Well, Timeline's the favorite, but the Pletcher Velasquez horse is called Master Plan by Twirling Candy. He's 2-1 on the morning line. It's just a notch ahead of him would be that guy Chad Brown and his guy Javier Castellano, and they do have a horse that's named Timeline that's in there from Hardspun, and he is 7-5 on the morning line.
Actually, yeah, Master Plan was in the Derby, right? The 20-something.
No, he was. Yeah, he was.
He didn't make it.
Yeah, the UAE Derby.
22. He was. And, he was behind. The bucking Bronco Thundersnow in the UAE Derby.
Thundersnow, yeah. Timeline. Actually, I can tell you it's a Timeline. I do like him. He broke his maiden, very decent. And make note, in the slop, he won by 13 in optional allowances, 9 wins of 1, going a mile in 36 and 4. So if it rains, could be a big factor. So Timeline. There's a horse I also like a little bit as a long shot. Is number 4, Impressive Edge. He was 7th, actually 4th by 7 lengths to Always Dreaming the Florida Derby. He was actually 3rd by 2 around the half-mile pole, 3/4 pole. So Always Dreaming took off, and Impressive Edge, just ran evenly, and he might be a factor, facing a Derby winner. So,
all right. All right, folks. So usually we just do pick four, but this week you get a little bit of an extra bonus. There you get the Peter Pan stakes as well. So, all right. Last week we were under the Twin Spires at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky, and based on what the weather looked like, thank God we weren't under the Twin Spires at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. And this is just a podcast, but it was a difficult sequence. That pick four was tough to hit. The payout came back over $3,000 for the day. Not surprising considering it's Churchill Downs on one of the biggest money days of the year. We only managed 1 out of 4 selections on our pick four ticket. And for anybody who comes back and wants to dispute that, we did have Divisadero into our ticket as a replacement on Saturday morning. So we lost Ray's, pet pony world approval to a scratch on Saturday morning. And through a democratic process, we actually came back and Divisadero was on our ticket. It didn't matter anyway, since we only got 1 out of 4. And that result moves our hit percentage for the season back down to just about 60% for this year so far. All right. Time for a brief weather update from Belmont, New York. The forecast for Saturday calls for rain likely. The high is 53 degrees. The winds are coming in at 15 to 25 miles an hour, and the rainfall is going to be near an inch. It is said to be a 100% chance of rain on Saturday. My good friend Joe, who's filling in as our weather analyst here, told me it's going to start at 6 o'clock in the morning and just going to go all weekend long. So for those of you who are wondering, it looks like we've got a lot of rain for there on Belmont at Saturday. You have a total of 11 races. There are 4 stakes on tap for Saturday. For today, we are focused on the pick 4 that begins in race number 8. It concludes in race number 11. Gentlemen, the gates are locked and loaded. The outriders are clear, and the starter is ready to pop the grate. Shall we get started? All right, race 8. The approximate post time is p.m. Eastern time. I'm sorry, my glasses were giving me a little bit of a problem there. 5:13 p.m. Eastern time. A mile and 3/8 on the turf. It's the Man of War Stakes, grade 1. Purse is $400,000 for 4-year-olds and upward. 8 starters, and your morning line favorite at 5-2 is in post number 3. We've said this name so many times on this show, but Wake Forest, trained by Chad Brown and ridden by Javier Castellano. Ray, last week it was Beach Patrol. This week it's Wake Forest, and I don't have any statistics to provide for anybody, but I do believe those are the 2 most popular horses in the brief history of our podcast. Who do you like in the Man of War Stakes?
Yeah, we have here some old friends from last year. Wake Forest, Twilight Eclipse. The turf should be, most likely, I guess, labeled good with the expected rain. I'm going to take a shot here with number 4, Zukova. This is a mare taking on the boys. Should be getting 5 to 9 pounds for her rivals. And through the use of YouTube, I watched one of her races. She seems to be a front runner. So this race didn't look like it came up with a lot of speed. So I think you got John Velasquez, one of the sharpest jocks, rating a horse and being on the lead. And, he's hot right now. Up in class, she's a winner of 6 of 9 and the old first-time Lasix. So I'm going to take a shot with Zukova, is her name, 5-1. I do like Wake Forest, number 3. His winner returns at the ripe age of 7. Good old comeback race at Gulfstream. And he got up to be passing cross right at the wire. And, Chad Brown is hot. He's 42% at the meet, 13 for 31. And this is a grade 1 warrior from last year and previous years. He should be running. He just, keeps, keep those legs going. And, even at 7 years old. Number 6, passing cross. He's a newly turned 4-year-old. He looks like he's getting better and stronger. Might have some going in the right direction. He gets 6 pounds from the other horses. He just missed in 2 stakes up in Gulfstream. For 9 races, he's got 2 wins, 2 seconds. So, he has a good kick. It's a good test for him. He steps up in class. So I would go 4, the 3, and the 6 in the first leg of the pick 4. We like the Man of War. Man of War.
He's not coming back, is he?
Man of War.
If he does, I like him.
That's right. Yeah. He'll be in the lead.
Well, it's really funny because I was looking at this race, Ray, and I almost talked myself into singling the same horse that you're on. Because this, if this was doesn't win this race, I'm not sure she's. The answer is she's just not good enough because everything's coming in her way. First time Lasix, Rich. We talk about that. That's a new angle for us. Our Breeders' Cup. First time Lasix. Okay, great. She's got first time Lasix. Second time off the layoff. This horse has beaten a horse who won the Breeders' Cup turf 2 years ago when the filly Found beat Golden Horn. Well, Found is in this horse's past performances. If you look back, there you go. Rich is circling it right there for you. Obviously, it was an ungraded stake, so I'm kind of wondering where Found was. But she beat Found pretty comfortably. I mean, 5 lengths is probably not what they expected that day. She's in terrific form. And how do they run races in Europe? Slow, really slow early and fast late. Well, there's no, like Ray said, there's no speed in this race. None whatsoever. I couldn't find anything. And maybe Zukova is going to be on the lead. I have a feeling there will be others who will make the attempt to go for it. Maybe somebody like Twilight Eclipse. Maybe Charming Kitten will be up there close. But and the slop, the conditions, it seems like everything is just perfect for this horse to win. Yeah. To me, I don't see getting 5-1, but there is that Chad Brown factor with Wake Forest. So maybe I'm thinking you'll get a little bit lower than that. The other thing about it is the Europeans are bred to do this. They run mile and 3/8 and mile and 3/8 races, and when they come to the Breeders' Cup, we always say, oh, well, they're always going to send their best, and their best are always better than ours. Well, if that's the case, why isn't it the same case in the Man of War? So I would take 5-1 on Zukova if you could get it. And really, I was really close to singling her, even though I did have a small fascination with the one Sadler's Joy, who is very close to being 5 for 5, winning his last 5 starts. Le Peru stays. He's got the best buyer speed figures coming out of his last races. To me, the question is he going to bring his form from Southern Cal, from Gulfstream up to New York? Obviously, when he was in New York earlier, he was running in a lot lower class races. And of course, I don't know that the track condition is obviously going to play a major part in this. We don't know if this horse has ever seen conditions, and we don't know what the track condition is going to be like. The one thing I do know is I do know Zukova's run over soft turf, heavy turf, and yielding turf. So I don't think she's going to have any problem with it. So my choices in order were 4-1, and then of course I liked Wake Forest underneath as well. You can't really dismiss what he's done, and Chad Brown, like Ray was saying, is very hot at the moment. And he won the race last year. He's looking to repeat. And I believe there have been others that have repeated in the Man of War, and I can't remember their names off the top of my head at the moment. But he's looking for a repeat. And if for whatever reason Zukova or Sadler's Joy don't run their races, Wake Forest is the most likely to win the race. But again, for me, it's 4-1-3 in that order, and I'm taking the shot with Zukova. And like I said, I got close to actually singling her and not playing any of the Americans on this ticket. So, Rich, I see your check mark is next to Sadler's Joy. So,
and you can see I basically got the same call that you and Ray do as well. So you see it up here. I've got the 1 over the 3 and the 4. So I really don't have very much to add on what we've heard there like that. I did like Sadler's Joy based on that last fact that you had there, Joe. He is, just a couple of eyelashes shy of being 5 in a row, which I really like. Even though he's a closer and comes off the lead and things like that, he seems to be a game horse and brings it every single time. And he's got the right speed figures, and he's obviously in form. So he was my top choice. So I've got Sadler's Joy on top. I've got the 3 and the 4 as my second line. Everything that you brought up about Zukova. So I think you might get a little bit less than that, but this is a pretty equal field as well. These are some familiar faces with the Charming Kittens and the Tug Leaves and Highland Skies and Patterson Cross. So we've seen them all before, and the money will probably be spread pretty evenly. I went 1-3-4. Joe went 4-1-3, and Ray went 4-3-6. Correct, Ray?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. And let me come on back, and we're going to move along. And we are up to race number 10. This is 1 mile on the main track. It's the Ruffian Stakes. Grade 2. Purse is $250,000 for... You know what? I'm sorry. Mouse picked up one slide too quickly there. So we're on race 9. And this is 6.5 furlongs on the main track. Optional claiming for non-winners of 2. Purse is $67,000 for 3-year-olds and upward. Foaled in New York State and approved by the New York State Bred Registry, which have never won $13,000 twice, other than maiden, claiming, or starter, or which have never won 3 races, or claiming price of $40,000. 9 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 5. It's Bond Vigilante, trained by Chris Englehart and ridden by Manuel Franco, 5-2 on the Belmont Park morning line. I know nothing about these horses, but fortunately, we have 2 handicappers that were also approved by the New York State Bred Registry. Up first is Joe English. Who do you like in race number 9?
Well, this race was really confusing to me. It was the state bred program has gotten better, obviously, in New York, but just this race in and of itself, it looks like there's plenty of horses who want to be near the lead. 6.5 furlongs is not a terrific distance for speed. It's not a bad distance for speed. It's, to me, somewhere in the middle. And again, I had trouble narrowing this field down. I ended up going with 3 on my ticket, and my top choice was the Todd Pletcher, John Velasquez G. Where have I heard that? Where have I heard those connections before? For Rapoli Stables, the number 3 Spooked Out. The horse improved last time in the mud. Obviously finishing second, gaining ground at the end to a horse named Celtic Chaos, who came back to win a state bred stake, the affirmed success on April 17th. This horse has had, excuse me again, has had a little bit more rest than some of the others. There have been others who have come back and run since that race and are actually even entered in the spot today. I just had a feeling that this horse is in the 3rd start off the layoff. If you see Pletcher's stats, 10 for 18 at the meet. That's if you thought Chad Brown was hot, forget that. Chad Brown is an iceberg that just ran into the Titanic compared to Todd Pletcher at 56%. And he's 4-1 in the morning line. He's a 4-year-old gelding. He should be able to get better. Not sure about his ability to run in the mud, but again, this race to me was really strange. Looks like there was a lot of speed. This horse will hopefully Johnny V will sit back off the pace a little bit, sit behind some of the speed, and maybe get the right trip. One of the other horses I liked was the 9. Get to my racing form here. Curious Cal, outside speed. The only reason I don't like this horse on top is because the horse disappointed at 7 furlongs at 55 cents on the dollar last time out. In a lower grade stake. Now I understand the horse finished second in an open allowance the race before that, so maybe we can forgive the last start. Maybe we can forgive it because he was coming back too soon. He's 6 years old. Maybe he just ran his best race coming off the gate, but he's back to the level where he was claimed, and he has run second, so he's obviously got a chance to win in this spot. He's going to be on the outside. He's going to have the outside speed. But what I did notice is that I was looking at the post positions from the daily racing form, and from post 8 on out, going under a mile on Belmont's main track, I think the record was 0 for 17 or 0 for 18, something in that neighborhood. So if that's the case, he may be a little up against it, at least from that regard. The horse has, obviously has had some speed figures that would win this race pretty comfortably, and he's going to be the outside speed. So if he can handle that, Joel Rosario takes the call. He's obviously got a chance, and he's 7-2 on the morning line. The other horse I will mention is the 2, True Bet. He looks like he's really speedy, but he's 0 for his last 14. And I can see the riders, Manny Franco, Rajiv Mirage, Alex Cintron, J.D. Acosta. I'm like, well, they're not Javier Castellano. So since Javier Castellano, at least on my racing form, is the one who gets them out, maybe he's the one who works out the trip. I'm guessing that not every speed horse is going to go, but maybe this is the guy who works out the trip. He'll probably be inside. So he'll probably have to break, and he may actually have to go to the lead. But that'll play itself out, and I trust Javier will do what's right by the horse and get the horse in the right position to win. But again, this was a tough race for me, and I could have gone in any number of ways, but I just went 3-9-2, and I just figured the Johnny Velasquez Todd Pletcher combination is so hot right now. I'll just take that momentum and ride with it. So 3-9-2 for me in race 9 at Belmont. Ray?
Yeah, you're right. This race has a lot of conditions. I mean, you got the state bud, you got the 9 winners of 2, you got the optional claiming they can go for. So you have a lot going here. I'm gonna choose one of your horses, the 9, Curious Cow. He's 7-2, like you said. He's actually going in for the tag for 40,000. He's gonna bypass the condition. So yeah, at this point, they can claim the horse. He's just speed of speeds. He could run off and lead all the way. He's pretty fast. And he's active 8 of his last 9 in Rosario and rides for Derek Canzaro. And they make a note here that the 3 broke guys will be in for the claim. So make note. Number 8, Bluegrass Prevails, 6-1. He's also in for the claim. He turns back in distance. He could be one of those the first to run at the leaders around the far turn. Michelle Nevin is 42% on a sprint turn back. So, and Camus rides, that's pretty well. And he rides 20% sprint. So I do like Bluegrass Prevails. And also on my ticket will be number 3, Spooked Out. What can you say? This horse actually stays in the same class. He's going to be in the optional lounge. He did make up some ground in his last race, which is positive for me because this horse has been sent to the lead and he's been tiring. So maybe they're trying to teach him to rate and come in, later in the race. And, Pletcher, like you said, 56% and 84%. So they're doing very well together. He's got a lot of speed, but he may have to lay off this pace and run late. So if he runs the race he ran last time, he has a good shot. It was in the mud, so I'll make note of that because tomorrow we'll be rating. And our old friends Michael Pollock from Brooklyn, and hopefully be in the winner's circle. So in this state bud allowance race, yes, we were New York breds, and we have the 9, the 8, and the 3. All right, Rich, we got to say about this sprint here with all the conditions.
Turn it over to the cowbred. All right. I ended up on Spooked Out as well. So Todd Pletcher, John Velasquez, 34% together. I hadn't actually even circled that. If you saw that as a circling here on live on the show, was that Todd Pletcher's hitting above 50% so far at this meeting. I thought this was a speed duel. I thought the race definitely had a chance to just be a matter of get to the lead and take it all the way around. 22% win going wire to wire, and you do get 66% here at Big Sandy, which to me is a big number for Belmont Park for speed bearing. So I was thinking that this would go to someone who's going to be on the lead. So that was what I was looking for. I was on the 3. I hadn't realized how impressive the 9's record was when I put my top 3 up here at the top of the page. And so hearing my 2 colleagues kind of talk up the 9 back there, I have a feeling I might be doing some more handicapping throughout the night and maybe tomorrow morning. My second choice was True Bet, kind of based off of what Joe said there. I was just thinking that this might be a race for a matter of getting to the front and the speed, and that's why I went with Bond Vigilante as my third choice there. So I've got the 3, I've got the 2, and I've got the 5. Again, just looking for one of the speed horses to go ahead and outlast all the rest of them and be able to win it. And now thinking about that, I might have to put the 9, underneath and go 4 deep in this race. Thanks for you guys. All righty, I am coming on back. We've got Rich with the 3, the 2, and the 5. I've got Joe as well with the 3 as his top choice. You've got the 9 and the 2. And Ray, I believe you've got the 9 as your top pick with the 8 and the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Coming on back. All right. And we are moving along to race number 10. Okay, and this is going 1 mile on the main track. It is the Ruffian Stakes. It's a grade 2. Purse is $250,000 for fillies, mares, 4-year-olds, and upward. 5 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 1. High Ridge Road, trained by Linda Rice and ridden by Jose Ortiz, comes in as your 2-1 morning line favorite. All right, folks, just a little history lesson here, but Ruffian was a nearly black filly. She stood 16 hands high as a 2-year-old. She ran from 1974 to 1975, and she was undefeated in her first 10 races that covered distances from 5.5 furlongs to 1.5 miles. Ruffian was on the lead at every point of call in every race she ever ran. She set a new stakes record in each of the 8 stakes races she won. She also equaled 2 track records. And unfortunately, she suffered a fatal breakdown here at Belmont Park before a national TV audience, and she was euthanized in July of 1975. It was a great one. We lost her too soon, but who do you like in the Ruffian on Saturday?
Oh, you call me? Oh.
Yeah, you're up first, buddy.
Okay, I'm sorry. My screen the volume went out when you call my name. Okay, actually, yes, this is a one-turn. The Ruffian used to be, for you guys know, used to be a mile and an eighth, and I guess they decided to cut it back to a mile. It used to be part of the older mayor's Triple Crown. They used to have it was the races. I can't remember. There was a mile race, the Beldame. No, that was the last one, and Ruffian was the second one. I forgot. I forgot the first one. It was a mile race, but it's a good series. I do like number 1, High Ridge Road. Sorry for the detour. I just want to give you a little history. This horse had trouble in the Madison at the start, and it says it's 7 wide trip, but she's 4 for 5 at the mile, 2 for 2 in the mud, so it's gonna come up sloppy hopefully, and one to make note of. Jose Ortiz rides for Linda Rice. They do well together, 32% in small sample. He does well in the route races, and this horse can save ground and set a nice tracking trip from the rail, and this horse is more better suited for the distance than 1 mile or plus. So I'll go number 1, High Ridge. I do like number 4, Indulgent. This is a Godolphin Dolly homebred. I like the upside in her. Her progression race to race. She's a newly 4-year-old. Had 1 race, and she may be better going more ground. She's been sprinting, and she's been gaining ground in a lot of her races. I ride Ortiz, Karen Glocken. She'll probably a middle runner, and she'll probably close run on top of the stretch. So she got a good trip for the 4-hole. She had a big race in the distaff for the Aqueduct. It was a winning race, first race. She ran a winning race, just got caught. Entrance here, Highland, and she's just a little short for that race. No, I read. Oh, I read. So yeah, I read these. Yeah, I do have I read here. I just said Jose. I'm sorry. Based on the track condition, number 5 deserves a note. A bar of gold. This horse is a mother. I mean, 5 for 5 on wet tracks, 0 for 12 on 0 for 10 on dry tracks. So take away from the layoff. She made a run in the mile race, tied a bit off the layoff. Be well fitted more today, going from tough to dirt. Actually, you probably say tough to slop. And Joy gets back on her, and she'll be a major contender. She'll probably get bet down a lot. So I mean that's my underneath horse. So for my pick 4, I'll go with the 1 and the 4. All right, Joe, you like the Ruffian?
Same 2 horses, opposite order. I like Indulgent better, only because, well, let's put it this way. I mean, she ran Highway Star to within a half length, and now Highway Star picks up 6 more pounds. So she's spotting Indulgent 6 pounds instead of 1 like she did last time. And in the slop, that may matter. The horse, obviously, the Tomlinson figures on this horse are really, 434 for Indulgent is ridiculous. McLaughlin and Godolphin had that huge day at Keeneland, and that the momentum has probably fizzled a little bit, but I'm thinking the horse can still step up and win in this spot. Horse has been training over the training track, which is usually generally slower than the main track. 4 furlongs and 49 on May 4th is fine with me. The only question I was wondering is, I guess is where was the speed in this race? Maybe the 2 is the one who's going to go out to lead. And Paco Lopez is obviously dangerous on a speed horse, on a good speed horse anyway. But I went with Indulgent on top. I think this horse has a chance to reverse the decision on Highway Star from the Ruffian. Irad Ortiz sticks around, so that's obviously not an issue. And like you said, Ray, High Ridge Road is 4 for 5 at the mile, and all of her wins are at the long elongated distances, either 7 furlongs or a mile. The only thing about her is that 4 of her wins, she's 4 for 4 at Laurel, and she's 1 for 8 everywhere else. So I'm not 100%. That's part of the reason I put her as my second choice. They're all basically coming in their first or second start off a layoff. But like you said, I like the upside of Indulgent as well. And I have a gut feeling that maybe she sits a little bit closer to Ver's tail today. High Ridge Road generally is more of a closer. Maybe she sits outside Highway Star, who it may be like the 2, 3, and 4 early in the race. Not necessarily battling for the lead, but up close to the pace. And maybe the 4 sits out in the clear and gets the first run on the 2 closers. So I went 4-1 just like you did, Ray. So no difference of opinion. Like I said, just different order. Rich, any differing opinions on the Ruffian?
No. I've got the 4 as my top pick. The only thing that I was Ray that I was bringing up here is this is Jose, who rode for all the initial races, and to me this is one of the ones that I would love to see. The Brisnet for people put in there is they'll often tell you when you're switching to a high percentage jockey, but
Rich,
up here. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rich. No, that's that's.
Oh, that is already. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the J is for Junior.
It's for Junior. Okay. So that's what I was looking. So I've got the 4 as my top pick. I did have the 1 as my backup pick, but in this particular, as far as everybody who's watching on that, this was my single. So this was actually where I ended up singling. It's a tough sequence. It was not an easy sequence to find one. Believe it or not, I actually thought in this race you could go, possibly 3 deep or 4 deep if you wanted to use the perfect off-track horse, which is what I consider. I didn't think Highway Star should be dismissed without regard. The horse had won its last 5. That's a real solid effort. I thought High Ridge Road coming out of that Madison there at Keeneland, Linda Rice and Jose Ortiz showing us a 33% combination. I thought that was a real solid pick as well. And again, Bar of Gold, and Ray already touched on this, the 5 for 5 on the muddy track. So I did single with the 4 here, just so that you can see that for mine. If I was going to use all of the picks that I wanted in here, I would also have the 1, the 3. I would obviously use the 4 and the 5.
With the 5-horse field, you can go. If you slim down the other ones, yeah, that's definitely an option.
Yep. Let's see, Joe. I've got Joe with the 4 and the 1, and I've got Ray on the other side. I've got Ray with the 1 and the 4. I think Ray, you had the 5 underneath.
5 underneath, yeah.
All right.
It's a good contestant. It really is.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a contentious sequence. I thought the sequence itself didn't seem like it had, just necessarily standout singles in there. So, all right, and we are moving along now to our fabulous finale, and this is race number 11. It's 7 furlongs. It's on the turf, but I would take that with a grain of salt right now. It's an allowance race for non-winners of 1. Purse is $64,000 for 3-year-olds and upward. Foaled in New York State, and again, approved by the New York State Bred Registry, which have never won $13,000, other than Maiden, Claiming, or Starter, which have never won 2 races. Let's see, there's 14 starters, and your morning line favorite starts from post number 4. Leave Them at the Gate, trained by Leah Guillermotti and ridden by Jose Ortiz, is 5-2 on the Belmont Park morning line. Joe, last week you got the Kentucky Derby with the $2 million purse, and tonight you got a couple of state bred allowance races with $65,000 purchases, which is why we are called the 3 broke guys. Who do you like in the finale?
I thought we were the 3 broke guys because I'd be eligible for this condition. Never won 13,000. Yeah, that's true. That's true too. I could go in the spot. This was another head scratcher for me, and part of it had to do with the fact that as I was trying to update the weather, the rain was like, hey, well, should I handicap for turf or should I handicap for slop? And then I looked at the weather forecast and I said, Okay, I mean, I minimally handicapped for turf, and then I looked at the race. I was like, oh no, there's no way this race can't stay on the grass. So my picks for tonight are obviously for the slop. I ended up on the 10 Bourbon Empire, who also has a nice high Tomlinson figure, having never run in the mud before. The horse, what I like the fact that the horse has improved. From 2 to 3, ran in 2 stakes earlier in his career, ungraded stakes, but finished third both times. But what I like to see is that the horse had a bad start in the middle in that allowance race, and you toss it out, okay, forget it, and then the horse came back and ran nearly the same speed figure that he ran in the race 2 starts back. So to me, that's an impending sign of improvement. Irad Ortiz sticks around. The horse was a beaten favorite. Obviously, $2.85 to $1 is not a solid odds-on choice. But I like the fact that Mark Hennig, who's a small stable, gets Irad Ortiz to stay, drawing on the outside. The horse doesn't have a lot of speed, so he's going to need some help up front. But at least the horse has some conditioning underneath. Unlike my second choice, who would have been my top choice, had the horse had a little more conditioning. Winning 7 furlongs and winning in the mud, first time out off a layoff, to me is a very difficult chore. But I had to include the 7 Lucky Lou Pal in this spot. The horse is coming out of a race, a winning race won by 5 3/4 on a good track, on a race that was obviously intended to be on the turf at Saratoga with a decent enough speed figure. And I was reading earlier in the week, Andy Beyer says that he likes to account for 1 point per month off of improvement between the ages of 2 and 3. So I'm like, if that's the case, this horse should run about an 80 Beyer speed figure, which would probably do very well in this spot since the Beyer speed figure par is 82. I actually like this horse even on the turf, because I look back at the spot in July, and the horse ran really, not badly, 4th of 10 in an open maiden special weight race, not state breds. So I thought even if the race stayed on the turf, I thought this horse had a really good shot to win. But again, the fact that the horse is coming off that long a layoff is probably a little bit short. It's tough to win at 7 furlongs to begin with. It's a specialist distance, but it's really tough to do off the layoff. But I thought the horse had enough going for it that I could include it on my ticket. So he was my second choice. And the favorite, Leave Him at the Gate, he was my number three choice. Horse has the best speed figures going in. Obviously, something happened in that last start that necessitated the layoff. But Leah Jarmot, again, another small stable, getting one of the Ortiz brothers to ride. The horse has finished, in the money 7 of 11 times, 4 times second, which kind of is another reason. Okay, I'll use him given that he's got a chance to win, but I'm not counting on him to win because he's shown a penchant for running second. Even though all 4 of those seconds were on the turf, it may be that this horse doesn't even go based on what happened in that last dirt start. But the horse did break his maiden on this track at about this distance, a mile versus 7 furlongs in October in the slop. So the horse could go. So I had to use him. So for me, it was 10, 7, 4 in that order. And maybe this is the race we have some disagreement. It seems as if we've been pretty much simpatico today, but we'll see, right? What do you think of the finale at Belmont?
When I think of it,
okay, what do you think of it that you could say on the air?
we have to wait. Well, hopefully by the time this race goes off, I'll be landing because I hope you don't cancel my flight or whatever. I'm going home tomorrow.
Hope you're not on United.
No, the dude will be fighting. Delta. And Spirit, forget Spirit. Spirit, they have balls. And I for Lauderdale too last week.
Okay, get to the race.
To the race. Okay. Like I said, wait till the scratches come out and they take it. Actually, I did land on a few of your horses. First of all, I like number 5, Mission Leader. It's 10-1. One race on the turf. It wasn't a bad race. Ran second in state, but maiden going a mile. It's overmatched in Stallion Stakes. and the open claimer also. So he's back in his condition. Um, Picks up Mirage, back to state breds. His horse could be a factor if they take the race off the turf too. He has some dirt experience. Ran decent on a good track in Aqueduct in the main claiming. So this horse could be running well. Be a factor with Kara McLaughlin, Rajiv Mirage. 10-1, you might get a little lower than that if you have some scratches and stuff, but I think this horse has a good shot. I do like your horse number 10, Bourbon Empire. Had an impressive win at Belmont at 2, stakes place in minor state bred race, like you said. Trying to turf for the first time. If the race is off the turf, then you'll be back in the slop. I haven't tried the slop, but has some good APN, smart striker, on the Majestic Warrior. We get some good slop breeding. He's a closing type. May run late at the speed. So I like the race last time too. It came in third, so did some money. Number 7, Lucky Lou Powell. You mentioned that horse returning off a 9-month layoff, the big main win on the off track. I don't know really what happened to him, but he's going to start this year, and I give him a shot. He's been working well on the Belmont train track. Ran decent second in the second race of his career on the turf. And Sires is riding well at the meet. So I'll give that a shot. Main track only horse, I'm going to also mention him. Fleet Irish right below it. If the race is taken off the turf, broke his main at the distance, riding well in the mud. Second race, going 2 turns at Aqueduct. I'm going to cut back here. Problem, and they're going to add blinkers on this horse. So I would play this horse if it was taken off the turf. Fleet Irish. Those are my picks there: the 5, the 10, the 7, and I mentioned the 8 horse on the main track only. All right, Richard, this is the finale and the end of the pick 4, daily double, pick 3. But you can have a much less than 14 horses tomorrow, because when they take the race off turf, it becomes disaster.
And again, and I handicapped this race as if it probably had a 65 to 75, maybe even an 80% chance of coming off the turf. So I did end up on. Strangely enough, people are going to think that we talk more than we do coming into this finale. But me and Joe ended up on the same horse, Bourbon Empire here. As our top selection. We don't. I was looking for a horse that, as you might have heard me say, right, kind of down the middle. So when I was handicapping this race, thinking that it could end up on the turf, I wanted someone who has a solid first-time starter percentage. 8%, not great. First time on the grass with Mark Henning here, 11%, and not out of this world, but not terrible either. Though the race didn't come up with any monsters in there, or any turf monsters that I saw. So I was looking for someone who I thought might project nicely to a turf chance, and I wanted to have someone that I could go ahead and not have to worry about it. Thinking of the baseball analogy, I didn't want to have to go to my relief pitcher too soon, so I wanted this one to be able to stay in there just in case they took it off and they went to the main track. And then my second choice is actually one of the main track only horses, which is all the way down here. It's H-Man. With Angel Arroyo and Gary Gulo, a trainer and a jock combination that I have absolutely no affinity for whatsoever, because I just don't know who they are. But I did notice that they hit 22% together, and the horse has got a lot of early speed from that outside post, and does have a win on an off track. So I was looking for someone off track. If they switch this one to the main track and H-Man ends up in this race, which again, I thought there's probably a 3 in 4 chances that that's exactly what's going to happen, then I was going to put the 14 in there. If it doesn't come off there, if it doesn't go to the main track only and things like that, then I also thought that the 1 possibly had a chance. And I think that is I'm trying to remember the entire name is. I apologize for scrolling over. De-Eloquent. But that would only be on the turf side. So the 1 for me is a turf horse. Otherwise, I went with the 10 and the 14 on top, with the 1 underneath. I did like Leave Him at the Gate. Again, if it comes and it stays on the turf, I thought Leave Him at the Gate, the 4, had a shot. But again, those are kind of like my turf. I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow to see what happens with this one. Again, I'm almost certain that it's going to come off the grass. So 10-14 on the top line for me. Joe has got 10-7 on his top line, and Ray has got the 5 as his top choice, the 10, the 7, and the 8. All right. And I am coming back to you guys. And I will go ahead and get ready to build our pick four ticket. So what we're going to do here now is I will go ahead and build our pick four ticket for the three broke guys. And in the meantime, Joe and Ray are going to take you through their individual pick four tickets for Belmont Park for tomorrow, which is Saturday, May the 13th. And let me go ahead and bring up their tickets. And Ray, I will let you go ahead and go first. And your ticket is over here.
Okay. Is that the one? 48? No.
Oh, was that for? Oh, you know, I might have had the wrong amount. Let me see here. It's 27. So I can.
All right. First leg, with the Man of War. I was going with the 4, Zukova on top. A nice filly from Europe who could go with the lead, Johnny V all the way. Mount Ridge just has a slow pace and have something left at the end. You get some veterans here, Wake Forest, won this race last year, defending champion, and pass across to give a shot as an upcomer is a good test for him. He stepped up in class to this grade 1, Billy Mott, and he's gained pounds too. He gained pounds for the other horses. I was going to use also trying to kitten them too. I thought about it and I decided to leave off ticket. The Ramsey's here, so the Ramsey's there, and he's still in Belmont. So, but we'll see tomorrow. But right now, I was involved. I just wanted to mention you gotta love the Ramsey's. In the 9th race, I'm using the speed horses, Curious Cow, Spooked Out. I'm using Bluegrass Prevails. Was into the claim, turning back in distance. And in leg 3, I have the High Ridge Road and Indulgent in my pick 4. I might have room to add Bar of Gold if the truck comes up really sloppy. So that's an option I was thinking about. Right now, I just leave the 1 and the 4. And then in the last leg, I'll go with a few long shots here. Mission Leader. It depends on how the board looks, but they're more in line with 10 to 1. I was Mission Leader, Lucky Luke Power 7, and the 10 Bourbon Empire on my ticket. If the main track comes in, I might include the 8 too. So my ticket's $27 for now. I think it's going to be one of those adjustable pick 4s, but right now I have it like that. So I guess if we change it, we'll let you guys know on Twitter, whatever. But this ticket I'm going to play, but I might have another ticket to play also with some different horses based on the track conditions. So, but I'll stick with this ticket for now. I like it, and we'll move forward. Joe, there's your pick 4. Then we get the same amount, 27.
Yeah, and it's really funny because the pick 4 could look completely different tomorrow morning when and if they decide what to do with scratches and if any horses decide to come out from the races that are originally even scheduled in the dirt. Because that race, the race 9 is a 9-horse field that may scratch down to 5 or 6. Who knows? The last race, and it's really funny. I want to make everybody aware that there's that rule in New York that if they happen to take the race off the turf and they change that race after the pick 4 sequence has already
Joe,
because I'm not sure if everybody's aware of that. Again, I'm hopeful based on the weather conditions and the forecast that they decide to make that announcement way earlier than waiting until the pick 4 starts at 5:13 Eastern. But we'll see. And like I said, I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. I went 4-1-3, and the Man of War was interesting to me. And like I said, I came up with the same horses rated Zukova. But what I looked at is if I couldn't use Zukova, I would probably have to go 5, maybe 6 deep, because all of these horses are the same horses we saw running in Florida. And their speed figures, all of them, were between 98 and 103. And it's like basically based on the trip, based on the track condition, any little thing could put a horse who finished 8th last time out, like Ray was talking about Charming Kitten in the McDarmida, into the winner's circle. And you could get 15 to 1 on that. Well, maybe not 15 to 1. That might be a little stretch. But still, this race would be wide open if Zukova wasn't in it, meaning wide open, meaning that 5 or 6 of the horses could win. I went 4-1-3. I originally I had liked Sadler's Joy more, but then the more I thought about it, and the more things seem to converge, just everything to me seems to point to Zukova, and that's sometimes they just jump out off the page like that at you. So, and really, I came close to singling her, but again, 4-1-3 for me in that race. The ninth race was a total grab bag. There's a lot of speed, again, based on scratches and condition of the track. I went 3-9-2, spooked out for Johnny V and Todd Pletcher. They won a pretty big race last weekend. I forget what it was. Anyway, race 10
Kentucky
was the
other.
Kentucky something. I don't remember. Thanks for trying to help me figure that out, Rich. In the Ruffian, I went too deep. I went with the younger up-and-comer, hopefully indulgent, over High Ridge Road. In a race that really doesn't seem to have a lot of speed, so it kind of seems to be one of those where you're going to need to be close to the lead. So the closers are, to me, the closers are at a disadvantage. But again, who knows the way the track plays? Who knows how much rain's going to get? But just like Ray, I went 1-4 on my ticket, but the 4 was my top choice. And in race 11, I went 10-7-4, and basically I handicapped the races if it was coming off the turf. One of the horses that I would use if the race stayed on the turf, meaning that it was probably going to be a soft turf, was the 11 Southern Union, who came out of a really nice race. State bred allowance, finishing second last time out about 3 weeks ago. So if for some reason that the race stays on the court on the turf, Cornelio Velasquez may have the winner in Southern Union, who's the 11. But I went 10-7-4 on my pick 4 ticket for $27. In, like Rich said, a very, very difficult sequence, very difficult to find any singles, which obviously neither Ray or I were able to do. So, Rich, are you going to discuss your own pick 4 ticket too?
Oh God, no. To say nothing of, as everybody heard there, my single in this one is hardly anything to be secure about. Let that more of a flipping of the coin or rolling of some Dungeons and Dragons dice. So let me go ahead and I've got our group pick 4 ticket up here, and let's take a look and see what we've got here for the broke guys. Where is it? Hold on. There we go. And interestingly enough, you guys both went with a $27 ticket for this week. And lo and behold, at least in our preliminary ticket that we come up with, is also a $27 ticket. So in that first race, we ended up with the 1, the 3, and the 4. The 4 and the 3 were a consensus. That was on all 3 of our tickets. And Joe, you and I managed to match up the 1. And Ray, for right now, the 6 is the one that you got that's on the outside looking in. In leg number 2, we've got the 2, the 3, and the 9. And let me see here. I've got the 3 and the 9 are both on Joe and Ray's tickets. So you guys have matched up the 3 and the 9. We've actually got a consensus on the 3. So the 3 was my top choice as well. And the 2 comes from me and Joe. So Joe and I both had the 2 on our top line. The 1-4, again, that was a consensus. Ray and Joe, you guys both had 1-4, and I had the 4, and I had no argument with the 1 since I would have put her on there if I could afford it. I just wanted to go deeper into the race. So, and in the finale leg here, we've got the 10, the 5, and the 7. I think the 10 actually was another consensus pick. We've got that on the top line for everybody there. The 5, I believe that is Ray has got the 5 on his top line. And Joe, you've got the 7 on your top line.
Looks good to me. I don't think there really needs to be much of an argument.
Yeah.
Or a discussion or anything else.
Yeah.
All right, let me come on back to you guys.
Looks good.
We got a couple of programming notes for you. So one is, and for everybody who watches our show every week, we love our show. But like all handicappers, there comes a time and a place when you actually need to go ahead and take a little bit of a break. Go ahead and recharge your handicapping batteries. And coming in the middle of the Triple Crown, I can't think of a better time for the Three Broke Guys. So for those of you who do enjoy watching our show, we are on, obviously, this week. We're going to be on next week for sure, because that's the second leg of the Triple Crown. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break in between the two legs of the Triple Crown there from the Preakness, and we'll come back and we will cover the Belmont Stakes. But we needed a couple of weeks to go ahead and recharge our handicapping batteries, so to speak. Ray and Joe and I all could use the break, and we're looking forward to it. So we'll be here next week. We'll be here next week for you for the Preakness, and then after that, we'll go ahead and take a couple of weeks off, and then we'll come back for the Belmont Stakes. We'll be all nice and fresh for you.
And I've already looked at the Preakness forecast. At least as of this morning, no rain in the forecast. So after 2 weeks of rain, considering what happened last week at Churchill and tomorrow at Belmont, maybe we'll get away with having the last Three Broke Guys broadcast for the next foreseeable future be a dry one. Let's hope so.
All right. For those of you watching, if you enjoyed our show, we will be back next week, as well. That's what the Broke Guys do. We will get together, take a look at another exciting card, and as you heard there, it is leg 2 of the Triple Crown. It is the Preakness in the Pimlico track in Baltimore. All right, gentlemen, that's all the time we have for tonight. It is always a pleasure to handicap with the two of you.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we'll be also updating the webpage too. So we'll still do that.
Facebook.
Oh yeah, check in our Facebook page.
Facebook.
We'll be on
Yeah,
Facebook even during our break. So for Joe English
yeah.
and Ray Torado, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you for watching Three Broke Guys Handicapping. Good luck and good night.
Good night.